My mom toasted to the smartest grandkids. She looked at my sister's kids. My 6-year-old asked her, "Grandma, don't you love me?" My mom just ignored her, so we just left. 5 days later, my mother wanted to use my bank card. When she couldn't, she wrote, "What have you done?" I replied coldly. My mother raised her champagne glass at Thanksgiving dinner, beaming at the entire table. "To the smartest grandkids in the world," she announced proudly. But here's the thing, her eyes never left my sister Paula's children, not once. She stared directly at 8-year-old Connor and 10-year-old Blake, like they were the only grandchildren in existence. My daughter Iris, only 6 years old, sat right next to me, fork frozen in her hand. I watched her little face fall as she processed what just happened. "Grandma," Iris said softly, her voice barely above a whisper, "don't you love me?" And you know what my mother did? She laughed, actually laughed. "Oh, Iris, I'm just teasing," she said with this dismissive wave of her hand, like my daughter's feelings were some kind of joke. Then she immediately turned back to Connor and started asking him about his spelling, being completely moving on like the conversation with Iris had never happened. Like just teasing. Made it okay to make a 6-year-old feel worthless. Do you think a 6-year-old should have to feel invisible at her own grandmother's table? Joke or not, the entire table went silent. My sister Paula looked down at her plate, my father coughed awkwardly, and I felt something crack inside my chest. This wasn't the first time, but watching my baby girl's eyes fill with tears while my mother brushed it off as teasing, that was it for me. I stood up calmly, helped Iris out of her chair, and said, "We're leaving." My mother finally looked at me with actual concern then. "Oh, don't be so dramatic, Michelle. I was just playing around. Sit down." "No, Mom, we're done here." I was already putting Iris's coat on. "Come on, sweetie," I said gently. "Let's go home." Let me back up and explain how we got here, because this wasn't just one bad moment. This was years of my mother playing favorites and disguising it as harmless teasing. Years of me trying to tell myself it wasn't that bad. Trying to convince myself that Iris was too young to notice or that Mom didn't really mean it. But kids notice everything, don't they? And they definitely know when they're the punchline. What would you have done in my position? Stayed and pretended everything was fine, or protected your child? I'm Michelle, 32 years old, and I've been a single mom to Iris since my ex-husband Derek left when she was 2. He moved to Oregon with his new girlfriend and sends a card twice a year if we're lucky. So, it's been just me and Iris for 4 years now, building our little life together in Columbus, Ohio. She's my whole world. Funny, creative, sensitive. She draws me pictures every morning before school and tells me I'm beautiful, even when I'm in sweatpants with my hair in a messy bun. My sister Paula, on the other hand, has what my mother calls the perfect life. She's 35, married to Greg, a dentist. They live in a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs with their 2 boys. And listen, I love my nephews. They're good kids, but my mother acts like they're royalty, while Iris is what the comic relief. It started small. Birthday gifts that were clearly more expensive for Paula's kids. More photos of them on Mom's Facebook. Comments like, "Well, Connor got straight A's again." Said in a way that implied Iris, who's in 1st grade, should be competing academically with a 4th grader. And whenever I brought it up, "Oh, Michelle, you're too sensitive. I'm just joking around. Learn to take a joke." But here's the thing about just joking. It's what people say when they want to hurt you without consequences. Do you know what I mean? It got worse after I had to move back in with my parents last year. Derek stopped paying child support entirely and my rent went up. I had no choice. Mom said it would be temporary, but I could tell she resented having us there. She made little comments about Iris's toys being all over the place or how loud a 6-year-old could be. "I'm just teasing, Michelle. Lighten up." Meanwhile, when Paula's kids visited, they could do no wrong. The worst part, my mother had convinced me to add her as an authorized user on my bank account. "Just in case of emergencies," she'd said. "You never know when you might need help, Michelle." It seemed reasonable at the time. She was letting us live there rent-free after all. I thought she was trying to help me get back on my feet. I should have known better. Can you imagine trusting someone with access to your money only to realize later what a mistake that was? The Thanksgiving incident was the breaking point. After we left, Iris cried the whole drive to our favorite ice cream place. Yes, I took her for ice cream at 7 p.m. on Thanksgiving because what else was I supposed to do? I sat across from her in the booth watching her eat her strawberry cone with tears still on her cheeks. "Mommy," she said quietly, "why doesn't Grandma like me?" "She likes you, baby." "No, she doesn't. She only likes Connor and Blake." Iris looked up at me with those big brown eyes. Am I not smart like them? My heart shattered. Right there in that ice cream shop, I made myself a promise. I would protect my daughter from this toxicity no matter what it cost me. You are brilliant and wonderful and perfect exactly as you are, I told her. And anyone who can't see that is missing out. The next morning, I went to the bank. I had exactly $3,847 in my account. My entire savings, every penny I'd managed to scrape together while working double shifts as a medical receptionist. I opened a new account at a completely different bank, transferred every dollar, and closed the old account. My mother's access was gone, just like that. I knew there would be consequences. But what was I supposed to do? Let her keep treating Iris like she was less than her cousins? Let my daughter grow up thinking she deserved to be the butt of everyone's jokes? Imagine being in my shoes. What would you have chosen? I also started looking for apartments. I couldn't stay in that house anymore. Not after seeing how my mother looked right through Iris and then dismissed her pain as teasing. My father, God bless him, had tried to talk to me that night. Your mother doesn't mean anything by it, he'd said weakly. She just jokes around sometimes. You know how she is. Dad, Iris asked Grandma if she loved her and Mom laughed it off like it was funny. I said, a 6-year-old your granddaughter. She made her feel like her feelings were a joke. He had no answer for that. For 5 days I said nothing to my mother. I came home from work, made dinner for Iris and me in the kitchen, and went straight to our room. Mom tried to make small talk a few times. Come on, Michelle, don't be so sensitive. I was just playing around with Iris, but I kept it brief. I was done pretending everything was okay. I was done making excuses for her behavior. And then on the 5th day, I came home to 17 missed calls, and a string of text messages that made my blood run cold. What have you done? The first one read, Michelle, call me immediately, this is serious. I tried to use the card for groceries and it was declined. Are you kidding me right now? You closed the account without telling me. How dare you? I stared at my phone and honestly, I felt nothing but cold, pure clarity. This woman wasn't concerned about me or Iris. She was angry because she'd lost control. She'd lost access to my money. Do you see what I mean? It was never about helping me. It was about control. I sat down on my bed, Iris playing with her dolls on the floor, completely unaware of the storm brewing, and I typed out a response that I'd been holding back for years. What do you think I said to her? Because what happened next changed everything between us, and there was no going back. I stared at my phone for a long moment, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Then I typed, I removed you from my account because you don't respect me or my daughter until you can treat Iris with the same love you show Paula's kids. Were done. I hit send and waited. The 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. My mother was typing, deleting, typing again. Finally, the message came through. You are being completely ridiculous. I've given you a place alive, and this is how you repay me. By cutting off my access to help you. You're an ungrateful, selfish brat, Michelle. Just like always, I didn't respond. What was there to say? But here's what I didn't expect. What happened 2 hours later that completely blindsided me. My phone rang. Who is Paula? Michelle, what the hell did you do? She snapped before I could even say hello. Mom is hysterical. She's saying you stole money from her. Actually laughed. I couldn't help it. Stole money. Paul was my account. My money that I earned. She was just an authorized user. She said she put money in there to help you. She said there was almost $4,000 and now it's gone. My blood went cold. Do you see what she was doing? My own mother was lying to my sister, making herself the victim. Paula, that's not true. That money was from my paychecks. Every single cent. I have pay stubs to prove it. Well, Mom says otherwise. And honestly, Michelle, you've been acting weird ever since Thanksgiving. You just walked out in the middle of dinner because of some little joke. Some little joke? I interrupted. Paula Iris asked Grandma if she loved her and Mom laughed at her. Your kids get toasts and praise and my daughter gets dismissed like her feelings are entertaining. There was silence on the other end. Then Paula said quietly, Mom doesn't mean it like that. She's better with older kids. You're being too sensitive. And there was my own sister siding with our mother. Right? I said flatly. I'm too sensitive. Got it. Look, just apologize to Mom and give her the access back. You're living in her house, Michelle. You owe her that much. I don't owe her access to my bank account, Paula. And I'm finding my own place. I hung up before she could respond. I sat there on my bed shaking. My own sister thought I was the problem. My own mother was spreading lies about me. What kind of family does that? Would your family do that to you? But here's the unexpected part. The next morning, my father showed up at my work during my lunch break. He'd never done that before. Ever. What do you think he wanted? He was waiting in the parking lot, leaning against his car, looking older than I'd ever seen him look. Michelle, he said when I walked over, we need to talk. If Mom sent you to guilt trip me, your mother didn't send me. He ran his hand through his gray hair. I came because there's something you need to know, something I should have told you a long time ago. My stomach dropped. What are you talking about, Dad? He looked around like he was checking if anyone could hear us. When you were born, your mother, she had severe postpartum depression. Really severe. For almost 2 years, she struggled to bond with you. She was hospitalized twice. He paused, his eyes meeting mine. With Paula, it was different, easier. And I think some part of your mother never fully recovered from the guilt of those early years with you. She overcompensates with Paula's kids because with Paula everything was perfect. Do you understand what I'm saying? I stood there completely stunned. So what? I'm supposed to just accept that she treats my daughter like garbage because she had PPD 32 years ago? No, that's not what I'm saying. Dad looked pained. I'm saying your mother has issues she's never dealt with, professional issues, and instead of facing them, she's repeated the pattern with Iris. He grabbed my hand. I'm not excusing it, Michelle. I'm explaining it and I'm asking you to give me a chance to fix this. Let me talk to her. Let me get her into therapy. Just give me 2 weeks. Dad, she told Paula I stole money from her. His face fell. She what? Yeah, she's lying to everyone, making herself the victim. I pulled my hand away. I can't do this anymore. I can't let Iris grow up thinking she's not enough because Grandma has unresolved trauma. Just give me 2 weeks, Dad pleaded. If nothing changes, I'll help you move out myself. I'll even pay your deposit. I have money saved that your mother doesn't know about. That surprised me. Why would you hide money from Mom? He looked away. Because I've been thinking about leaving her for 5 years now. I kept hoping she'd change. He met my eyes again. But after Thanksgiving, after watching her ignore Iris, I realized she won't change unless someone forces her to face herself. Let me try, sweetheart. Please. I wanted to say no. Every fiber of my being wanted to say no, but this was my father, and he'd never asked me for anything ever. Fine, 2 weeks. But if she pulls anything else, anything, we're gone. He hugged me tight. Thank you, sweetheart. I promise I'll make this right. But you know what? Some promises can't be kept because 3 days later, something happened that made those 2 weeks completely irrelevant. I came home from work early and found Iris sitting on the front porch steps, her backpack next to her, tears streaming down her face. My mother was standing in the doorway with her arms crossed and Paula's car was in the driveway. What's going on? I demanded, rushing to Iris. Your daughter, my mother said coldly, drew all over Connor's science project with permanent marker. Pa's project that took him 2 weeks to complete. She ruined it on purpose. I looked at Iris. Baby, is that true? Iris was sobbing so hard she could barely speak. Grandma said, I wasn't smart enough to do a project like that. Anyway, she said, only smart kids like Connor can do science projects. She wiped her nose. I just wanted to help make it prettier. I drew flowers. My vision went red. She's 6 years old, I shouted at my mother. She's 6 and you told her she wasn't smart. I did not say that. I said she should focus on art since that's more her speed. She took it the wrong way and destroyed her cousin's work out of jealousy. Her speed, she's in 1st grade. She's not in competition with a 4th grader. I scooped Iris up. We're leaving right now. Today. Oh, that's perfect. My mother sneered. Run away like you always do? Paula is right. You are too sensitive. You've poisoned that child against me. Paula stepped out. Michelle, at least pay for the supplies so Connor can redo it tonight. I stared at my sister in disbelief. Paula, our mother, told a 6-year-old she wasn't smart. Iris thought she was being helpful. She's old enough to know better. Paula said, this is what happens when single mothers are too soft on their kids. That line made something inside me snap. Do you know what it feels like when your own family turns on you like that? I stopped at the door and turned around. No, Mom. You did that all by yourself. Every dismissive comment, every joke, every time you made her feel like she didn't measure up, that was all you. I was just teasing her. God, Michelle, when did you become so dramatic? And that's when I saw it. My father standing in the hallway behind her, his face absolutely devastated. He'd heard everything. The mask had finally slipped. Ruth, he said quietly to my mother, what have you done? My mother spun around. Dawn, don't you start. Her name is Iris. My father suddenly shouted and everyone froze. My father never shouted ever. And you just called a 6-year-old child jealous and manipulative. But I didn't stay to hear the rest. I packed everything Iris and I owned into my car in under an hour. My father tried to help, tried to apologize, but I was done. We stayed in a motel that night, a cheap one that smelled like cigarette smoke and had stains on the carpet. Iris fell asleep, curled against me, exhausted from crying. And as I lay there in that awful motel room, my phone buzzed. It was a text from a number I didn't recognize. Michelle, this is Greg, Paula's husband. I need to talk to you. Your mother is lying about more than the bank account. Call me when you can, please. I stared at that text, my heart pounding. Greg had never contacted me directly before. Ever. What do you think that was about? Because what Greg told me the next day absolutely shattered everything I thought I knew about my family. I called Greg the next morning after I dropped Iris off at school. My hands were shaking as I dialed his number. What could he possibly know that was so important he'd risk contacting me behind Paula's back? He answered on the first ring. Michelle, thank you for calling. What's going on, Greg? I asked, sitting in my car in the school parking lot. What do you mean my mother is lying about more than the bank account? There was a pause, then he said, can we meet somewhere? This isn't something I want to say over the phone. 20 minutes later, we were sitting in a coffee shop across town. Greg looked uncomfortable, fidgeting with his cup. He's usually so calm and collected, but right now he looked like he was about to be sick. Okay, here's the thing. He started last night after we left your parents' house. Paula was ranting about you, about how you've always been dramatic, and I couldn't take it anymore. He looked up at me. Michelle, I've been biting my tongue for years about how your mother treats you and Iris. It's not right. Greg, what did you want to tell me? He took a deep breath. 3 months ago, your mother asked Paula for $5,000. He said it was for a roof leak. Paula gave it to her without question. He paused. But there's no leak. Michelle, check myself. The roof is fine. My stomach dropped. What are you saying? I'm saying your mother took $5,000 from us under false pretenses, and when your mom was crying about you stealing her money yesterday, I started putting things together. He leaned forward. I think she wanted access to your account to do the same thing to you. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Do you see what I mean? The woman who raised me was possibly planning to steal my money. The money I'd scraped together working double shifts. Does Paula know you're telling me this? Number. And she'd be furious if she found out. He looked pained. But I have a daughter too, Michelle. You deserve to know what kind of person you're dealing with. Thank you for telling me, I said, my voice hollow. I drove back to the motel in a day. That night, I got a call from my father. Michelle, please come home, he said, and he sounded broken. Your mother and I have been talking. She's agreed to go to therapy. She's agreed to apologize to Iris. Please, just give her one more chance. Dad, did you know she took $5,000 from Paula by lying about a roof leak? Silence. Long, terrible silence. Then how did you? Who told you that? So you knew. I felt tears burning in my eyes. You knew she was lying to Paula, and you didn't say anything. Michelle, it's complicated. No, Dad, it's not complicated. It's theft. I took a shaky breath. You've known for 32 years that Mom had issues bonding with me, and you never got her help. You never protected me, and now she's doing the same thing to Iris. And you want me to give her another chance. I was crying now. I can't watch my daughter go through what I went through. I can't let her grow up thinking she's not good enough. Michelle, please. I love you, Dad, but I love my daughter more, and I have to protect her, even if that means cutting off my entire family. I hung up before he could respond. The next 2 weeks were the hardest of my life. I found a tiny one-bedroom apartment in a not great part of town, but it was ours. I picked up extra shifts at the clinic. We ate a lot of pasta and rice. But you know what? Iris smiled more in those 2 weeks than she had in the entire year we'd lived with my mother. My phone rang constantly. My mother called 17 times the first week. Paula called to tell me I was being selfish. My father sent long text messages begging me to reconsider. I blocked them all. But here's the thing that broke my heart the most. One night about 3 weeks after we'd left, Iris was drawing at our tiny kitchen table. He held up her picture. It was our family, me and her holding hands with a big house and a garden. Mommy, when can we see Grandma again? She asked softly. I knelt down next to her. Baby, I don't know if we're going to see Grandma for a while. Is it because of me? Because I drew on Connor's project? No, sweetheart. None of this is because of you. I pulled her into my lap. Grandma made some bad choices that hurt your feelings. And Mommy's job is to protect you from people who hurt you, even if those people are family. But what if she says sorry? And that's the question that's haunted me ever since. What if she does say sorry? What if she really does get help? Do I give her another chance? Or do I protect my daughter from getting hurt again? What would you do? 2 months have passed since that Thanksgiving dinner. I haven't spoken to my mother or Paula. My father texts me once a week. Just simple messages like I love you or how's Iris, and I respond with short answers. He's respected my boundaries, which is more than I can say for the others. Last week a letter arrived at my apartment. I don't know how my mother got my address, probably from my father. I stared at that envelope for 3 days before I finally opened it. Inside was a short note in my mother's handwriting. Michelle, I know I've failed you as a mother. I know I've hurt you and Iris in ways that are unforgivable. I've started therapy like your father suggested. I'm learning about the mistakes I've made. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I needed you to know that I'm sorry. I love you even if I never showed it properly. Mom, I read that letter 10 times. I cried. I got angry. I cried some more, and then I put it in a drawer and tried to move on with my life. But the truth is, I don't know if I can move on because as much as my mother hurt me, as much as she hurt Iris, she's still my mother. And some part of me wishes things could be different, wishes she could be the grandmother Iris deserves. But wishes don't protect my daughter, actions do. And right now, the action I need to take is keeping Iris away from people who make her feel small, even if those people are family. 3 days ago, Iris and I were at the park. She was on the swings laughing and calling for me to watch her go higher. And I realized something. She's happier now. She doesn't ask if she's smart enough anymore. She doesn't compare herself to her cousins. She just exists. He's just a kid being a kid. And maybe that's enough of an answer for me. Maybe protecting her peace is more important than maintaining family connections that were toxic anyway. Do I feel sad about it every single day? Do I wonder if I made the right choice constantly? But when I see Iris drawing pictures of our little family, smiling without that shadow of doubt in her eyes, I know I did what I had to do. My mother wanted to use my bank card to control me to have access to my life. When she couldn't, she lashed out. And you know what? I replied to her coldly when she asked what I'd done. I told her the truth. I protected my daughter. Something you never did for me, and that's where we are now. No big reunion, no fairy tale ending. Just me and Iris building a life where she knows she's loved, and she's enough exactly as she is. Will I ever let my mother back into our lives? I honestly don't know. Maybe if she really changes, but I'm not going to sacrifice my daughter's well-being on hope alone. So, here we are. Me and Iris against the world. And you know what? We're doing okay. We're happy, and sometimes that's all that matters. So what do you think? Did I make the right choice cutting off my family? Should I have given my mother another chance? I'd love to know what you would have done. If you enjoyed this story, or even if you didn't, if it made you feel something, please hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to cut off a family member to protect yourself or your child? Thank you so much for listening to my story. It wasn't easy to share, but I hope maybe it helps someone out there going through something similar. You're not alone. Thank you for watching.